Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive, still broadcasting in high definition mono sound at an AM 1570. So make sure you set your dial as we get ready for Super Bowl around here. We get ready for spring training around here and all sorts of fun stuff. The Maryland Lottery presents our Maryland Crab Cake Tour. We're going to be in Catonsville in the homeland doing breakfast at State Fair on Friday. I might be having the Chesapeake Benedict for breakfast, as well as some chicken and waffles and some shrimp and grits. We'll be giving away holiday cash drops. I've got a handful of these left. John Martin has threatened me that I'm going to have the little wishbones in the old days as we have the 50th anniversary of the Maryland Lottery on tap here this year, as well as our friends at Window Nation, 866-90Nation. Make sure you buy two, you get two free, and you get 5 years, 0%. And in the winter, I'm telling you, I've had the best winter ever staying warm. I haven't even worn my thick socks because of Window Nation. So big appreciation. John Martin joins us now from the Maryland Lottery. He is the director of all things Maryland Lottery and gaming, and the gaming part important here as we get up on the big game. I don't know if we're allowed to say the S and the B, that word, but the big game in a couple of weeks. John, how are you, man? Lots of things going on, lots of jackpots. Just when $1.3 billion one gets hit, all of a sudden you're getting back up on over $500 million already. I mean, it happens quickly with two games, doesn't it?
It happens very quickly, and it also happens without any rhyme or reason. Since that wonderful $1 billion plus Mega Millions jackpot, Mega Millions now has been won not once but twice at very low levels. Yesterday, being Tuesday of this week, was the most recent. So we've reset that counter.
Yeah, hold on. You say low levels. They only won 20 million. I mean, that's like Lamar playing for 23 million. He's 50 million. You got to play for more, you know. But it still is a lot of money if you hit on a short week. I know you wouldn't feel good about it. If you hit, you'd be like, I won 20 million. Oh, I didn't win $1.3 billion. You know, I don't know. It's somewhere in there.
But yes, Powerball continues to move along at a nice pace, $526 million as we are speaking today. And of course, the drawing will be Wednesday. And then Saturday, if it continues to roll, should be some healthy numbers for people there. But we're having a lot of fun here, more fun than people are allowed to have, Nestor.
Well, it's your 50th anniversary. I know, you have to have fun when that happens, right?
We had our big employee kickoff, got people rallying around last week around here, balloons, good times. We invited back some historians, as we call them, people who were here on the inaugural voyage. Many of them going back nearly 50 years. So it was great to see some old friends and renew relationships. But from the players' perspective, January has already kicked off with some of the fun and excitement. At the beginning of January, on the 2nd, we already launched our $1 fast play game. We're 50, win $50. So that's been in the marketplace now for the better part of the month. But this week, we launched our family of games, our scratch off gold family of games multiplier at the $1, $2, $5, and $10 levels. And with that comes a second chance contest. So if you're not fortunate enough to win a cash prize, submit your non-winning tickets, and you may win one of 5 $50,000 drawings that will start in February, March, April, May, and June. So go to mdlottery.com for more fun and excitement on not only gold multiplier family of games, but other things that will be coming down your way here next month. We've got a couple of teasers here on scratch-off games and contests. A lot more fun to happen here in our 50th anniversary year.
I think this is the reason you partnered Come On Baltimore Positive, because I ask questions like this, like, what's multiplier mean, John?
Multiplier. Thanks for the question, Nestor. Oh, it's almost like we rehearsed this.
No, we didn't rehearse it at all. You said gold multiplier, and I'm like, all right. Well, somebody out there doesn't know what multiplier. My wife might not even know what multiplier means, and she plays the lottery.
Well, certain games, not all of them, have the ability to, if you reveal certain things underneath the latex, underneath the scratch, they may be a 2x or a 5x, meaning your prize is multiplied by that amount. So very popular with players. People enjoy those little hidden treasures along the way. So it adds some fun and excitement to the scratch-off games.
All right, 50th anniversary. You mentioned your big soiree. This is inside pool for you. So you meet these people that worked there 50 years ago. So these folks are at least 70 years old, right? Because they were 20 when they worked there, or like that, right? So these folks are a little older. How big of an agency? Well, like, what did they tell you that you could learn about the history of this thing? You said, they're historians. They must have some information. And I'm sure at this said cocktail party balloon event that you pick their brains. What's the funniest story you got?
Well, they're great stories. As a matter of fact, we've captured some of them with our historians on a roundtable discussion. You can find that at mdlottery.com. Go to our 50th anniversary page. You may have to be a little creative in tracking it down.
Back
But
when we started the lottery, we had a little shack back here, right?
exactly.
Like literally, right?
One of my favorite stories is that is told is the first millionaire. The gentleman won $1 million, and back in 1973, right? That was something. And he was in his 30s. He was going to retire. He's going to travel the world. And a month or two later, he seemed to cross paths with us again. And we said, well, what's going on? He said, well, I'm back. He was a donut maker. He said, I'm back making donuts. And we said, what happened? He said, well, he just sit around and he just had to do something. He had to get back to it. He enjoyed making donuts. So it was great stories like that. People who won ridiculous amounts of money back then, but really didn't have a perspective, right? I mean, that was way before, multi-million-dollar and good grief, billion-dollar prizes. But these people just had a go about their business mentality. Maybe that's the Maryland experience. Just, hey, okay, yeah, I won some money. Now I'm going to go back to doing my grocery shopping, doing my donut making, doing whatever it is that I do. So I think that's fun to see how their player reactions have changed over 50 years.
My wife and I have been married. We met each other 20 years ago next week. So we've known each other 20 years. And she's a lottery player. I tell you this all the time. And, I take pictures of her buying tickets at the Royal Farms or the Wise when we're in them. And she dreams of winning and like all of that. And I know we've talked about this. Her first thing would be like, she's an engineer with Verizon. Her eyes are messed up after her leukemia. She stares at a screen all day, and she's very good at her job. She's very well compensated, like all of that. But I wonder if we hit it big. Let's just say we had one of those crappy Powerballs. We only got 20 million because it just cashed out. We lost out on the big one. Whether we'd work or not. And I got to ask you, because you play Dr. Melfi for me right now on the radio, John. Would I quit my gig? Do I love doing this? And would I do it if I had millions of dollars in the bank? Would I want to get up every day and do it? I honestly think at this point in my life, I would. I think I would keep doing this. I do. Because I love doing this. I haven't always over 31 years. I didn't love taking phone calls and arguing with people. I didn't love arguing with people at all. People think I like to argue. But I think I would keep my gig. And I don't know that I'd always felt that way. Maybe if I made donuts, depends how early I'd have to get up to make those donuts. But it is interesting what you dream of, that this first $1 million guy went back to work to see he liked making donuts. He wanted to do something, right?
Yeah, I mean that is the wonder of the human experience. What would you do? I mean, you can talk it up about a lot of things, but when it really hits you, what will you do? And yeah, I mean, clearly I'm on the back nine of life here, so it'd be easy for me to just say, all right, that's it.
I'm out. Cash out.
That's it. Yeah, if you're in your 30s, like this gentleman was. Boy, that's a long time to not do anything. So, as long as, and as we say every time, there's a large jackpot. Take your time, get financial resources, get people who you know and trust, get a lawyer, get a financial planner, get an accountant, make sure your taxes and affairs are in order before you even come in to cash that multi-million-dollar ticket, because it will be life altering and your world will forever have changed.
John Martin is here. He is changing worlds and lives every day. When the big winners come, they got to come downtown and claim their winnings. He is the director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. And it's funny, 50 years ago, we talk about playing Pick 3 and how the lottery was born, how we have all these games and scratch-offs and all this different stuff now. This last year, I don't want to say it's taxed you or your organization, but certainly it was something that came from Annapolis for sports wagering. A lot of that was about this time of the year and these big games coming up in a couple of weeks. You're making news every month, and I think everything's sort of pioneerish for the state right now, especially on the mobile side, which has only been 2 months, not even 2 months, really. And so you're a year into this and second big game as we go here. What's the state of sports wagering here in these licenses? And I know you have commission meeting, you have all sorts of things going on with sports right now.
Well, it's extremely busy. I think a lot of people would think, we were sitting here with our feet up, the heavy lifting's been done, but it continues. So today we have 10 retail entities and 7 online mobile sports books. But we are still not even near the upside on this. We have a lot more on both the retail side, the brick and mortar side, is certainly on the mobile side. So this week at our monthly Maryland Lottery and Gaming Commission meeting, we will put forth again a number of qualified applicants on both brick and mortar and mobile. Now, again, if you recall from previous conversations, qualification is that first step. Do we find that they have the financial resources, the financial integrity, the background strength to be in the sports wagering business? And if we say yes, then we pass them over, their application over to our friends at the SWARC.
Well, it's important for all of you that they don't fail, right? Literally,
right?
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No one wants to just stand out and hand these things out at the corner and see, 2 out of every 3 fail at it. No, we have to make sure that there's some foundation there to withstand the ebbs and flows and the roller coaster that is the sports wagering marketplace, particularly
imagine
now.
ebbs and flows. Like everybody in my audience who bets on sports, they don't bet every day. I hope they don't bet every, I mean, we tell them not to, right? Every day. But the football part of this is such a big part of it. And I'm not counting the Pro Bowl, John, but there are only 3 games left, right? I mean, once this is over with, you don't just move to hockey or basketball, maybe March Madness or whatever, but I think everybody in the sports space and all of these owners would understand, like, the day after the Super Bowl, things are going to slow down a little bit.
Well, the circus leaves town, right? I mean, you're cleaning up the streets, and there's that feeling.
The boardwalk in winter, right? Literally,
right? Exactly. So that's why people seem to get amped up at certain times of the year. And but our process is 24/7, 365. So we continue to regulate and continue to do our job to qualify these applicants, send them over to SWARC. SWARC will do their work and hopefully award the license. Then it comes back to us, where we go through that very final stage with the operational requirements, the control demonstrations, before we actually issue a license. So even though today we're talking about the potential to have 5 more entities be qualified this week, the reality is none of those are going to be up and running in time for these last 3 games on the NFL calendar. So at best, some of these people get up and running, sometime this spring and really ramp up for next football season.
How many licenses can there be? You said there's 10 10 mobile, 7 brick and mortar, or is it the other way? Either way, but there's a cap on this, right? And it won't probably approach anything near a cap because there's going to be a market saturation here. I don't want to say soon, but I've been inundated with the ads. We all have. There's going to come a point where this thing's going to level out. Like I always compare it to, and I'm an old guy, but when video stores showed up on every corner and then block, at some point it levels out, and you can't have one of these on every corner. But there were none 15 months ago, right? Literally. And we're getting a settling in on all of this. And I'm interested that there are some people who want to get into the game, we say late, but being operational, I guess, in the second full season of football, which would be September. So we're not that far away.
The numbers will continue to fluctuate for several years at this point. The reality is the licenses were capped in legislation, 60 on the mobile side, and basically 47 on the brick and mortar side.
That's a lot.
Our application window closed on October 21st. So if you didn't have your application in, those high watermarks don't really apply anymore. The reality is today.
Is that forever or no?
Well,
it's for now.
For now is the best way to say that. I mean,
yeah.
Everything's always subject to review by the General Assembly, and legislation can always be modified.
But that was the end of the end as the legislation was written, which was get it in by October or you can't play for now.
Right.
Okay.
And so today we have still to work through. As again, we have 10 retail and 7 mobile, but we have the potential to get upwards of 20 retail and 21 mobile. And these are people still in the pipeline, still working through the qualification, award, issuance phase. Now, who's to say at some point that weeds itself out? I mean, there was some news today this week in the industry where some of the smaller players are already looking at potential acquisition and merger capabilities. So you're right, to your earlier point. I mean, that's just the reality. You can go back to the auto industry. I mean, back in the day, Henry Ford, there were dozens of auto companies here in America. Today, not so much. So eventually there is a winnowing down and a collaboration, or consolidation is probably the better word, of the players in the marketplace. Are we there now? No. Will we be there in, by the time these licenses all come up for renewal within 5 years? Oh, probably.
I think the interesting part is it is such a sort of nascent, like there's no history here. It's all brand new. It's new for all the players as well. I would think for the players who've been playing all year, bad beats, big wins, all the excitement that sort of rolls along with it. I would think if you're a player, and listen, you took a lot of heat. You were the one people were yelling at about get mobile open, get mobile open. This couple of month period, I would people in my world are happy playing. The people that want to play, playing responsibly, doing what they're doing, betting on or against the Ravens, over, under, whatever they're doing. The people I know who waited for it, wanted it, they're real happy with it. And part of that has been that you guys have done all of this work so that you can just put your name in, put your credit card in, and make your bets and get your pay, make it easy for the user. Because I know at heart that was, you didn't want disputes, you didn't want problems, right? I mean, and I think at least it got off to a good start in my world. My world's very, very happy with how it's working.
Well, again, as the regulator, we're the umpire. We call the balls and strikes. So it's really up to those sportsbook operators to really make sure that gets equitable and implemented. Did you see the story following the last weekend's games of the young man who had a 4-game parlay where he picked the first touchdown by a player in each of the 4 games, and he had gone 3 for 3, and the last game was Dallas. And
this sounds pretty exotic to me. Exotic wagering is what it sounds like.
It was for a $5 bet.
I barely understand the bets.
$5 bet. He had to parlay who was going to score by player name, not just which team, which player was going to score the first touchdown in each of the 4 games last weekend.
Well, I hope that has a heck of a payoff. I mean, I don't know what the odds of doing that are this weekend.
Yeah,
to say
for
who
him
would
it
get
was
the first touchdown in these 2 games this weekend. Okay.
Yeah, and it was great because his friends had the video of the last game in Dallas, and he's pacing the room, and bam, he gets the last one. He's running around hugging everybody. His $5 became $72,000 plus, and he called it life changing. And some people took him to task that that's not life changing. Well, for him it was. He paid off all his student debt. He's a young man. He put the rest of it theoretically, for a good purpose, for a rainy day. And for him, it was life-changing. And that's when it hopefully works well, that people have a plan, they stick to it. A $5 bet should be within everyone's range. And yet he did the homework. He did what he wanted to do and made the bet appropriately. And now he's got a plan. He's got a responsible plan for the winnings. So you hope that's what people do, that they treat it as entertainment. They have some fun with it. They set a budget. They set a time limit. They do it with friends, so there's more fun involved with it, and ultimately they are playing responsibly.
That's an interesting way to play, because I'm thinking, like, would I do that? Well, I feel like I know a lot about football and it would make it fun. And I'm thinking, like, I've been to the racetrack 100 times and bet on horses and colors and numbers and wait for an exacta or wait for a triple, trying to win real money, not just cash a $5 ticket and win $20 or whatever. And at the track, that's an interesting way to even think about it, as almost like, all right, it's a daily double. I'll take this player, that player, that player. And if it comes in, oh my God, it'll be like bigger than any exactor, like, that would be 5 for 72,000. I'm not gonna disparage that bet. That sounds like something fun. And to your point, not life altering if you lose, good time. And he won. It probably would have been a funny story if he lost. John Martin is here. He is the Maryland Lottery and Gaming Director of all things directing. On Friday, we're going to be doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour at State Fair in the morning. We're doing a morning 9 to noon. Just try to stay out of the way. They have a really busy happy hour at State Fair in Catonsville. We'll be there with our friends at Window Nation as well. Mark down your calendar. March 3rd, we are at Drug City, and March 8th, we are at Fadley's. I'm starting to put some dates together. I'm going to be around a lot in February as well. We're going to be doing a couple of shows there as well. John, what else is going on in Lottery Kingdom for the director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming, other than this big 50th anniversary party all is throwing?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you go to mdlottery.com to get our winner stories, and there are lots of them, an interesting story has developed here, and it hopefully will have some legs to it. We introduced a scratch-off game, a $20 scratch-off game last month in December called $50,000 cash. Our normal top prize on the $20 game is $1 million, and we may have 4 or 5 of those. But every once in a while, the boys and girls in product development get a little crazy, and they spin the wheel of fate, and it comes up with a whole different structure. And in this game, your $20 investment, the top prize that you could win is $50,000, which is our normal top prize on a $5 game. The kicker here is that we had over 150 of these $50,000 prizes.
So in other words, John's rich. He's got big pot. He's got $1 million. He can give it away. Do you want to give $1 million to one person or give 50,000 to 20? And it might be more fun. Is that pretty much, did I get the concept right mathematically?
That's exactly the concept. And players who enjoy scratch offs, particularly at the higher price points, are running into this like crazy. In the first month, we already have had 7, actually more now. I'm looking at the update now. We've had 9 winners of $50,000.
I can hear a player saying, I ain't greedy. I don't need $1 million. I'll take 50 grand. I mean, you get a better chance of winning 50. I give me 20 chances to win 50 grand. Okay. That would be life altering for some people, as you pointed out, right?
For some people. So have some fun with it. $50,000 cash, more than 150 prizes to start. Right now, it's probably getting below that. As we speak, someone could be knocking on my door with another winning ticket, but enjoy it. Have some fun. Again, play responsibly. $50,000 cash, our $20 recently implemented ticket.
You know, back when we began this deal, they would say to me, you sure you can do 20 minutes every week on the lottery and have fun with John? And I'm like, yeah. And then you said something to me that I think I could do a month worth of segments with you. You said the folks at product development are having it. I want to meet those folks. Like now, I'm getting interested now. Now I want to know. It's like I had Dennis Curtin on, his public relations from Wise Markets, the other day. And the last time I talked to Dennis, I was up at their factory wearing a Laverne and Shirley hat, going through the ice cream factory. And I said to him, the only reason I really want this relationship is I wanted to be in the cockpit in the ice cream factory, asking the guy who picks the flavors why he picks them. Yeah. So this is the point in my job, John, where if I hit your little lottery and I win life-altering money, that I still would want to sit here and do the show because I like learning about things like product development.
You know, something that we haven't done before, I don't think. I mean, you know, sometimes I'm not here, as you know, and whether
it always goes downhill. Don't tell Seth or Doug.
Whether it's Seth or Roz or Doug, maybe what we ought to do is invite someone from our product development team, and the three of us have a nice little conversation.
Maybe we should do that over a crab cake at a place like State Fair, where you could bring out the tickets, like a whole bunch of the old ones, and and we could literally have some fun with it and talk about the psychology of it a little bit, how it works, why people love it, what they love, what you're trying to do when you build a game to make it fun for my wife. My wife's sister is more of a scratch-off person. We've talked about the Christmas back in the 80s. So she loves playing scratch-offs, her sister. My wife likes jackpots, just different psychology about it, right?
Well, let's plan on that. Let's have your girl call my girl or your person call my person. I'm sorry. I just
that would be fun. And especially for the 50th anniversary, because listen, I mean, I have 2 tickets here. I actually have one from last year as well. They're different, but they're the same, but they appeal to different people in different ways. And I think, listen, when I've had both of them, John, I had both of them at G&A a couple weeks ago for Crab Cake Tour. I held them up and said, which one do you want? And it was guy wearing a Ravens jacket picked the holiday one. I couldn't believe it. So people have different feelings about these things.
You know what?
Right?
Let's book that for February, because in the month of February, we have our Wishbone ticket comes back, as well
as
you're
going to be giving to me to give away. Because I could work
something out there. And then the other is our new $50 ticket. And so both ends of the spectrum there. Yeah, let's book that for sometime in February.
All right. I don't want silver, John. I want gold and multipliers. John Martin is here. He is the director of all things Maryland Lottery and Gaming. I got a couple of holiday cash drops that I'm going to have on Friday. John is going to freshen me up after the holidays, but you can still win a lot of money with these, and people do. I had a winner at G&A 2 weeks ago on the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. Big appreciation to John Martin. Reminder again, championship games, parlays, Super Bowls. Play responsibly while you're out there. Have a good time this weekend watching the games. Get ready for the big game out in Glendale. We'll have full Super Bowl coverage around here as well. And Luke and I are monitoring all things. The number that matters here is the number 8. Lamar Jackson, all things Lamar here at WNST. We are WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.